Hello there, good evening to you. Many thanks for joining us on Superscreen News at 6, broadcasting to you live from Lagos. I am Adenike Owoye Ajiboye. The Nigeria Labour Congress NLC has cautioned the federal government against missing the timeline for the implementation of the new minimum wage for workers. The new wage is expected to take effect from August 2018. NLC President Ayuba Waba handed the warning during a pre-May Day symposium jointly organized by the NLC and the Trade Union Congress in Abuja, with the theme of the 2018 May Day celebration being a role of labor and workers in national development. Awaba said the organized labor will ensure the timeline set by the tripartite committee on the implementation of the national minimum wage is not altered. He added that workers who create wealth must also be well taken care of, as they are not unmindful of the situation of the Nigerian workers, particularly with increasing inflation in the country. And in a related development, workers in Lagos State have joined other counterparts across the world to commemorate this year's May Day. The workers who converged at Agege Stadium in Lagos State marched in batches to celebrate the day as the Lagos State Governor Akinwumi Ambode waved back in excitement. The governor commended the state workers for their sense of responsibility and civility, while the Nigeria Labour Congress NLC and Trade Union Congress TUC made their demands known.
It is on record that we have never, since the inception of this administration, had any disputes with the organized labor, and I'll be the first to admit that the labor unions in Lagos State are the most responsible. The labor movement should not only inquire after what workers can get from the government, but also what workers can further contribute to support the government in making a difference in the lives of our people. There will always be a place for agitations and struggle. And it is a fact that only those who dare to struggle may win. Yet, these agitations and struggles must be focused on realistic and reasonable goals that are pursued in the appreciation of the competing interests that government has to continually balance.
Encouraging the Lagos State workers to continue to emulate what they have been doing, because in the political history of Lagos State, this is the first time ever in the last 50 years that the sitting government will run for 3 years without any strike. We have been witnessing high degree of industrial and people-industrial relations between the government and workers.
No victory without pain. No economy can develop without the contribution of the labor movement. The labor movement keeps the government on its toes in the fulfillment of the social contract with the masses of the people of the areas in constant power supply, universal education, food, medical care, housing, motorable roads, potable water, effective transportation, employment, security. Excellency, the Governor of State must be commended for prompt and regular disbursement of salary to workers in Lagos State. The state government is not indebted to our workers. It is our hope and expectation that when the national minimum wage is reviewed upward, it will be embraced and implemented by our digital governor, who does not believe in how.
This will, on the long run, have negative impact on the cost of our workers. Daddy, and my governor, you know, under the bridge is not even available anymore. With the numerous beautification, facelift, and regulations, we are happy to see your administration implement by the day. Your Excellency, sir, please, while we agree that our law and regulations need to take their course, we passionately appeal for human face, and the law must be made for man and not man for the law. We want to please request Your Excellency to take a look at the yarn of the masses and do the needful. Medical certainly gradual strike. This strike being embarked on by this set of health workers is taking its toll on the poor masses who could not afford to go to private hospital. On this note, I would like to appreciate the Commissioner, Dr. Benson, Akitola. He has started to make move on this. He has met these workers and they met twice this week. I hope this will solve the problem in Lagos State.
Leaders of NLC and TUC speaking there. And now the All Progressives Congress, APC, has extended its good wishes and greetings to all Nigerian workers this year's May Day celebration. The APC, in a statement by its spokesperson, Bolaji Abdullahi, described Nigerian workers as key drivers of development despite the challenges they face. Abdullahi said the Nigerian workers are one of the most dedicated, resilient and hardworking in the world, and they remain a key driver of the country's multifaceted development. The party therefore called on labor and trade unions in the country to continue ongoing dialogue with the government aimed at improving workers' salaries and general welfare. And away from that, the United States President Donald Trump has described the killing of Christians in Algeria as a serious problem, saying the U.S. will not accept it. President Trump said this shortly before he entered into a closed-door meeting with President Muhammadu Buhari at the Oval Office in the White House, Washington, D.C. Trump also condemned the burning of churches and urged the federal government to ensure security of lives and properties in the affected communities.
Thank you. Today I'm honored to host President Buhari of Nigeria at the White House, right here in the beautiful Rose Garden. President Buhari, I want to thank you very much for traveling to Washington for these important discussions. It's a true pleasure to welcome you to our nation's capital. Nigeria is the largest democracy in Africa. As I conveyed to President Buhari in our discussions, the United States deeply values and appreciates Nigeria's role as a strong democratic leader in the region. The United States is currently working to expand trade and commercial ties with African nations, including Nigeria, to create jobs and wealth in all of our countries.
Mr. President of the United States of America, ladies and gentlemen of the media, it has been a pleasure and honor to visit Washington, D.C. at the kind invitation of President Donald Trump. Nigeria and the United States share a long history of close and cordial relations which encompass political, economic, military, social, and cultural cooperation. Our two countries maintain a strategic partnership for peace and security, conflict resolution, as well as the global fight against terrorism. We also share common features as secular federal states practicing a similar democratic model of governance and committed to the universal values of fundamental human rights and freedoms, free enterprise, social justice, and the rule of law. President Trump and his team and myself and the Nigerian team discussed issues related to security, trade, governance, human rights, and humanitarian crisis.
President Muhammadu Buhari speaking there in Washington, D.C., United States of America. And now talking electoral matters, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, is bracing for next year's general election without funds. The polls are 291 days away, but their cash has not been made available for INEC's 300 billion naira budget for the elections. The cash squeeze is likely to affect the timeliness for the elections unless the executive and the legislature move fast to reverse this situation. You will recall that INEC in January submitted over 300 billion naira budget to the presidency for vetting and presentation to the National Assembly. INEC has to procure more than 800 materials for the conduct of a successful poll, but none has been brought so far. According to the poll's timetable, party primaries for the presidential, governorship, federal and state elections will begin on August 18 and end on October 17. Again, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has unfolded plans to transmit the results of the governorship elections in Ekiti and Osun State electronically. Ahmed Lekki, who disclosed this at a seminar organized by the Electoral Institute in Abuja, said the agency will employ the innovative electronic transmission of results. The commissioner also said INEC has discussed with the Nigerian Communication Commission, NCC, and the telecommunication companies, adding that they have assured the agency of the feasibility of transmitting the results electronically. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has interrogated a former Minister of Aviation, Osita Chidoka, over an alleged 3.9 billion naira fraud in connection with the procurement and installation of sensitive security cameras and infrastructure in 5 international airports. Before Chidoka was invited, the EFCC had quizzed the managing director of Bray and Brew Limited, managers of 5 international airports, the managing director of the Federal Airport Authority in Nigeria, FAN, and some officials of the Ministry of Aviation. And now, a Rivers State Governor, Nyesom Wike, has blamed the federal government for the nation's state of insecurity. The governor said Nigeria's state of insecurity is a fallout of political interference on the part of the federal government. Governor Wike discussed this when participants of Senior Executive Course 40 of the 2018 Study Group 3 from the National Institute of Policy and Strategic Studies, NIPSS Kuru, paid him a courtesy visit at the government house in Port Harcourt.
As a result of political interference, the federal government has laid a foundation for crisis and violence in Rivers State before and during the 2019 election. They brought a professional who was promoted ACP in his expertise in hijacking electoral materials. But this one will cause crisis in this state. Since the police has come out to look, they are handicapped. So we came up with an agency that will complement the efforts of the security agencies. Apart from payment of salaries, federal government and state government did everything that required logistics, that required funding of vehicles.
In his reaction, leader of the group, Rear Admiral Hamefule Elua, said they are working on solutions to the security challenges facing Nigeria.
Team approved for Study Group 40 is strengthening internal security and community policing, strengthening internal security framework and community policing in Nigeria. Models, policy options, and strategies. In the classroom, we were discussing and said, yes, that looks like a place that fits the theme of the course. It looks like that state has already gone ahead, not waiting to see all the political issues.
It is leader of the group, Ahmed Foley Elua, speaking there. And on education matters, Minister of Education Adamu says the federal government has released more than 138 billion naira in the last 3 years as matching grants to strengthen basic education system in the country. Adamu disclosed this during the launch of the National Personnel Data Audit of Basic Education Institution in Abuja. He said the funds managed by the Universal Basic Education UBEC were accessed by states and federal capital territory that also paid their counterpart contribution.
This administration from 2015 to date has released the sum of 138 billion as matching grant. These funds have been accessed by states and the FCT after paying their counterpart contributions. As enshrined in Section 9F and I of the UBEC Act, the Commission is mandated to carry out, in concert with the states and local governments at regular intervals, a personnel audit of teaching and non-teaching staff of all basic education institutions in Nigeria. This is in order to establish reliable data for basic education and for planning. Today, to all intents and purposes, is a remarkable landmark for us realizing the resolute commitment of this administration of President Muhammad Buhari to provide quality basic education for all.
On his part, the Executive Secretary, Universal Basic Education Commission, UBEC, Hamid Boboye, said lack of data is a major setback in the education sector.
The value addition of the 2018 MPA also lies in the development of the Global Positioning System, GPS, by NASDRA for proper identification and easy location of schools. This will go a long way to conclude the exercise and produce the results within the shortest time possible. Honorable Ministers, may I also venture to say that the 2018 National Personnel Audit is being undertaken in 2 phases. The first phase begins from today, Monday, 30th of April, and ends on Friday, 26th of May 2018. It will cover the Southeast, the South-South, and the Southwest. This is to ensure that the exercise is successfully completed before the full onset of the rainy season in these 3 geopolitical zones.
The Executive Secretary of UBEC, Hamid Boboye, is speaking there. If you've just joined us, watching Superscreen News at 6, we'll take a short break here, and when we return, we'll bring you business news to stay. Well, so glad to have you back. Now, in business world, the National Assembly will receive the report on the 2018 budget from its Joint Committee on Appropriation on Wednesday. Investigations indicate that the laying of the 8.612 trillion naira budget will be preparatory to its possible passage on Thursday. Report says the appropriation bill earlier planned for passage on April 24 failed because of the enormous volume of work before the various committees, particularly Anchor Committee on Appropriation. You will recall that the Deputy Chairman House Committee on Appropriation, Chris Azubugo, confirmed that the National Assembly will take up to May to pass the budget. International oil benchmark Brent crude has hit $75 per barrel and rose further amid growing geopolitical tensions in the world. A Brent against which Nigeria's crude oil is priced stood at $75.16 per barrel, while the United States marker, a West Texas Intermediate, are traded around $68.36 per barrel. The rise in oil prices means further accretion to the nation's excess crude account, into which the difference between the market's price of oil and the budget benchmark is saved to provide a cushion when oil prices fall or extra cash is needed for spending on infrastructure. The 2018 budget proposal submitted by President Muhammadu Buhari in November 2017 put the benchmark oil price at $45 per barrel compared to $44.5 per barrel for the 2017 budget. Fidelity Bank PLC has reported 20 billion naira profits before tax (BPT) for the financial year, which ended December 31, 2017. The result represents 94% rise in profitability when compared with a 2016 figure. The bank's gross earnings rose from 152 billion naira in 2016 to 179.9 billion naira in 2017, representing 18.3% increase. Other details of the full-year audited results released at the Nigerian Stock Exchange showed impressive growth in all key indices. In line with the mandate of the Chief of Naval Staff, Ibok Ete Ibas, to maintain zero tolerance for criminal activities within the maritime environment, the Nigerian naval ship Pathfinder in Urumolumini, Port Harcourt, has handed over an abandoned vessel intercepted for over 2 months to the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, for further investigation. Speaking with a journalist, the executive officer of the NNS Pathfinder Navy, Victor Toji, said the vessel, which has 1,800 metric tons of suspected stolen crude oil, was intercepted by officials of the command along on the waterways during patrol.
One of the patrol elements of the Nigerian Navy ship Pathfinder, deployed for anti-crude oil theft and illegal bunkering patrol, intercepted a vessel, MT Anton, at San Bartolome River entrance at about 0550 hours, laden with about 1,800 liters, 1,800 metric tons of suspected stolen crude oil. The vessel was abandoned by the crew at the time the patrol team arrived at that location. But at the time of this report, nobody has owned up to the ownership of this vessel.
Choji also warned that the Nigerian Navy will remain steadfast in its drive to stop all forms of criminality along the waterways.
But what is interesting about this particular arrest is that, unlike previous arrests, the crew abandoned the vessel and ran away. And for us, it's an indication that we have closed up so much on criminalities within the River State Maritime Domain that owners of vessels are willing to abandon expensive assets for fear of what will happen if they are arrested. We will remain steadfast, we will remain dogged, and we will continue in our campaign against crude oil and illegal thefts and other illegalities within the River State Maritime Domain until we have eliminated all forms of criminalities in this area.
Naval officer also said all hands must be on deck in the fight against crude oil theft. You're still watching Superscreen News at 6. We'll take another short break for more news after this time out. Join us again. Thanks for staying with us. Now in international news, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has accused Iran of secretly pursuing a nuclear program amidst the rising tensions in the Middle East. Benjamin